Hello and welcome everybody. It's finally here, my new series. Lots of you have been doubting me. Where's James Early gone? Has he given up? Will he give this series up after 2 races, 3 races, maybe even 4? Who knows? But let's enjoy the journey whilst it's here. Welcome to Streamline, a brand new series. Similar to what Custom F1 was, but it's kind of what Custom F1 should have been. It's so much bigger, so much more in depth, and we start here in the 1988 season, and this is our home screen for the team manager. I suppose James Early is the team manager officially, but we're all team managers. All of us are team managers, and here we have the home screen. Round 1, the Brazilian Grand Prix at Hakarapagua coming right up, and we have one driver in the team at the moment because we don't have the funds or the money for more than that, and we've hired Martin Brundle. He's had just over 50 race starts, scored 8 points in his career so far, and he had a promising youth career. I think he had an injury a couple of years ago which kind of set him back, but he's our driver, and there's 18 teams taking to the grid this season. 31 drivers in fact, because some of the other teams only field one driver as well. And for this weekend, the objective is simply to qualify for the race. That means qualify within the top 26. Like I said, we only have one driver right now, but there is space in future seasons, maybe towards the end of this season, where we can field a second driver, a reserve driver and a test driver, each giving us different bonuses. The test driver will help with car development. The reserve driver is there in case one of the main drivers get injured. And of course the main drivers themselves are the ones who score the points. Like I said, Martin Brundle, 54 race starts, only 8 points, but he's coming here with very high motivation. He's in the prime of his career really, 28 years old. Here's the car screen. This is the Streamline engineering car for this season. The overall is 63. That goes up to 99. So we've got the 16th best car. It's really bad. It's only faster technically than the Osella and the Zack Speed. Of course, that doesn't take into account how good the drivers are either. But we definitely need to work on upgrading this car. We have 28 points to upgrade. And that could mean that, say if we put 28 into rear wing, it'll go from 65 up to 93. But we have 28 points to spend over the whole season, so I need you guys to help out and decide where we put those upgrade points. Now there's plenty of news to get through, so let's have a look at that. The FIA have announced a couple of new rules and regulations for the 1988 season. To begin with, the points scoring has been shifted to award 10 points for the winner, 6 points for second, with 4 points going to third place. The top 6 will score points and no results will be dropped from the final championship table. New teams EuroBrun and Streamline will be required to enter pre-qualifying alongside Coloni and Zack Speed. These will be the teams selected for pre-qualifying for the first 8 rounds, at which point the FIA will look into the performance of the teams and make changes if necessary. There are a number of drivers making their debut this season. Maurizio Gugelmin makes his debut at his home Grand Prix, driving for March. Luis Perez Sala is in at Minardi, with Argentine Oscar Larori joining EuroBrun. 33-year-old Julian Bailey debuts at Tyrrell, and German F3 champion Bernd Schneider slots in at Zack Speed. It has also been announced that turbocharged engines will be banned from 1989 onwards, and 12 teams this season will be running with non-turbo gear. Pre-season has been a toss-up between Ferrari and McLaren for this season's championship pick, and it will be fascinating to see how reigning world champion Nelson Piquet gets on at new team Lotus. It's a clean slate and a brand new season of Grand Prix racing. Let's get this year underway. One of the jobs of a team manager is to go through all the mail that comes through the door, and here we have our first bit of mail from Barry Goodman, who is the chairman of the team. He basically doesn't own it all, but he's in control of it all, and he's outlining the objectives for this season. So he wants us to at least qualify for every single race. We need to make the grid in every single race, all 16 of them, and he wants us to finish at least 50% of the races. So that means we need to be classified at least 8 times this season. If we don't meet those expectations, our contract could be terminated. On a brighter note, Martin Brundle seems very happy about the opportunity he's been given at the team, and he'll do everything he can to help guide development in the right direction of the car. That's good. He's got decent experience, so he could be a very useful asset, and we'll see him in Brazil. Mr. Chairman Barry Goodman is stressing the importance of sponsors. Right now, we only have technically 2 sponsors, Lint, which is our main sponsor, and Rexona, who sponsor the front wing. But we'll see the sponsor screen in a second. We definitely have more space to fill up, so if you guys can recommend any sponsors for the 1988 season, let me know. And finally, another important step, upgrading, get upgrading. And Barry Goodman does tell us right here, we do have 28 upgrade points, so we need to kind of meet together as a team and decide on what we can invest in improving. There's quite a few parts of the car that are very weak, so if we can improve them as the season goes on, it'll be good. And here is the sponsor and supplier page. Lindt is sponsoring us for the whole season. Rexona, we only have a half-season sponsorship. That could be renewed at the halfway point, but as you can see, we don't have any body side sponsors or rear wing sponsors. At the moment, they're being covered with the actual suppliers. So Unipark Group is supplying the fuel. The engine is Ford, and Goodyear are supplying the tyres. They're not only supplying them for us, I think Goodyear are the whole Formula 1 tyre supplier. Now, James Early has been in front of the media after a whole night of partying with the new team. He met the media in the team factory. Let's take a listen and see what he had to say. Hi James, welcome to the sport. So what is Streamline? Can you tell us more about it? Well, Streamline's the team I made. It just really encapsulates what I believe in from my business background. Streamline is a process. Streamline's a process. You want to streamline everything, make it easier. And Formula 1 is in dire need of being streamlined. And that's what I intend to bring to the table. Streamline's a brand new team entering into the 1988 Formula 1 World Championship. We're just fielding one car to start with as we build up the operation. But Martin Brundle, British driver, tipped by many, I'd say, to be one of the future greats. We've got him on board. We've got no reserve driver or test driver as of right now, as we solely believe Martin Brundle will be able to carry this team forward to glory in the 1988 season. We're powered by Ford Cosworth engines, just like many of the other teams are on the grid. But as the seasons progress, we hope to build a formidable partnership with one of the big engine manufacturers in the sport, which will hopefully bring success to the team. Our other suppliers are listed. So are you trying to build a partnership with brands that are already in the sport? Yeah, I'd say that's about it. Many people in the paddock are questioning why a man like you is entering. What do you say to that? A man like me. See, I don't really understand the issue that many people have with a man like me. In the past, there have been many owners of teams who are probably less corporate and more crazy. And I'd say I'm on the side of crazy. For the people who doubt me in the paddock, just wait until you see the car on track, and then you can make your observations, your outcomes, and the decision about me as a person. I don't really think has any weight from anybody in the paddock. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Enzo, whatever his name is, Ferrari, the fella at McLaren, Ron. I don't care. Just wait until you see us out on track. I'd say that's quite a contentious answer, but that's okay. So what do you hope to achieve in the sport as a whole? What do we hope to achieve in the sport? I mean, success is the number one. Once you have success, glamour, fame, fortune follows in that order. And that's what we hope to achieve in the sport in the many years that we do plan on being here. Lots of success will come our way. Also, is this a long-term investment then? And are you actually taking it seriously? Of course I'm taking it seriously. There's no doubt I'm taking it seriously. I even did my hair extra special for this interview. And I plan Streamline to be here as long as Formula 1 will have us. And if ever a point comes in time where Formula 1 no longer accepts Streamline as one of their own, then we'll just break off and form our own thing. It's as simple as that, really. Well, you're dressed as if you've just left the party. So what's your mindset like going into this season? It's funny you should say that. I did just leave a party and I've come straight here to this interview. That party lasted till about 8 a.m. I'm not fully recovered. I'm not fully sober, but I still made it here. Yeah. So can you tell us more about the mindset? What's my mindset? Look, I just look towards success. The mindset is success. Failure is not an option. Whatever we can do to succeed in this sport, I'm willing to do. Sacrifices, I'm happy to make. And fame, fortune, glamour, all of the above, like I just said, will follow. Right, okay. So what are the targets for the season? Targets for this season, Look, I'm not under the impression we're going to dominate right from the start. I understand that. It's going to take a bit of time. Really, I just want to get a foothold. I want to qualify for every single race this season with our sole car under the guise of Martin Brundle, who will hopefully deliver the goods. If we can sneak a couple top 10 finishes this season, I'll be happy. Reliability is a big issue in Formula One, and it has been for quite a while. So we really need to focus on the reliability rather than just the outright pace of the car. As long as we can qualify the car for all the races and finish at least half of them, I'll be happy. Well, I'm sure our readers will appreciate those answers. We'll see you. Thank you. In Brazil. See you in Brazil. Yeah. He's certainly an interesting personality. Now let's have a look at the news. We'll get news pieces from various different news sources throughout the season, starting with Bailey McIntosh, who's predicting that both the championships will be won by Ferrari after their strong end to last season and their strong pre-season, and he says McLaren could also be strong contenders. Heather Walker from Engine Temp is suggesting that Streamline might just be another failure, and that because all these new teams are joining the sport towards the end of the turbo era, they don't think that Streamline fielding one car will be a success. And Rob Barton from The Visor, he's full of optimism and he is really excited for the championship fight ahead. And he says McLaren definitely looks strong and he's not convinced by Senna. He doesn't think Senna might be able to match up with Prost over the course of a whole season, but he's excited and happy to be proven wrong on that one. So roll on Brazil. And speaking of Brazil, let's check out what happened in pre-qualifying for the first race of the season.
Okay, Martin, don't push it on this outlap, just make sure the gears are working. And then if all seems good in the car, you've got one push lap. And then we want you to bring it in nice and slow. We've got to keep these tyres in good nick. You've got your track to yourself, so no traffic worries. Just give it your best.
And as you can hear, this season will feature both radio from the race engineer and from the driver Martin Brundle.
Can I go again, or do we not have the fuel? It will be touch again, Martin, but if you think you can get a faster time, keep at it. Okay, box, slow down. We need to save the fuel to get back. How's the time looking? Are we looking okay? Yeah, it looks good so far with first right now. But we probably need to go a couple seconds quicker on what you did on that first run. Same again, please. The gearing's all on these, and we need to shorten the sixth gear. Yep, understood. Boxes left. Okay, this will be the final run, Martin, so push. Yeah, good job, mate. That'll be enough. Cheers.
So the pre-qualifying results are as follows. Gabriele Tarquini gets the fastest time in the Coloni. Martin Brundle in Streamline's first race is second. Oscar Larari in the EuroBrun and Alex Caffey in the Dallara or the Scuderia Italia both get through. That means Stefano Modena in the EuroBrun is knocked out and will not go to qualifying for the Brazilian Grand Prix. So we've passed the first test and we have qualified for the qualifying. We've beaten pre-qualifying, so now it's 30 drivers going head to head and the top 26 make it onto the grid for Brazil. The qualifying session was underway and home favourite Ayrton Senna was the first driver to head out on track and duly took provisional pole position. Martin Brundle soon followed out on circuit and he was about to start his first flying lap in qualifying.
Okay, mate, the track's clear, so it's up to you now. Good luck.
So you heard the message from the race engineer, Martin Brundle. The circuit is clear and he's going to push as hard as he can during this qualifying lap. Hakkapakula, the circuit is very flat and quite uninspiring. We know our team's target for today's session and to this weekend's Grand Prix actually. We just want to qualify for the Grand Prix itself, which means we need a top 26 position in this session right here. And there's 30 drivers in the session, meaning 4, unfortunately, will miss out on the main Grand Prix on the Sunday.
Our first sector's looking great, Martin. Keep up the good work.
The times are looking very good. It's down this long back straight. The Streamline team have kind of fixed the issue with the gearing. We're kind of maxing out at 256 kilometers an hour before this weird left-hander. It's almost like a double apex. It goes wider, then cuts back in, and then into probably the best series of corners on the circuit, this right-left chicane. It's quite a large chicane. You possibly can't even call it a chicane, but through the second sector we go. It's another good sector time. It's looking really good at the moment. Senna's 35.7 is not going to be troubled here by Martin Brundle, but if we can get maybe within 2.5 seconds of that benchmark time on this lap, it'll put us in good stead to qualify for the main race on the Sunday round. The final corner then, and down towards the line. Let's have a look at what the time is.
Absolutely fantastic lap, mate. It's a great benchmark. Bring it in.
10 minutes in, and Prost took pole away from his teammate at McLaren, the new McLaren pair, really going at it already. And then 5 minutes later, Senna retook that pole position. With 40 minutes left, Capelli's march came to a stop just past the start-finish straight, missing a front wing. Prost once again retook provisional pole. It's a battle between the two McLarens at the moment, but where are Ferrari? An incident occurred between Prost, and I believe that's one of the arrows, and Prost picks up a 10-place grid penalty for the incident. The FIA might be looking into a pit lane speed limit introduction if things like that keep happening. Berger briefly jumped up ahead of the McLaren of Senna into second place, but then Senna on his next run takes back pole position, and with Prost's 10-place grid penalty, it's looking like it's Senna's to lose. On Brundle's final run with 12 minutes to go, it all goes wrong.
Oh, I've lost out of hairpin, so box this lap. Yep, understood, Martin. Bring it in.
So Brundle in the end qualifies 21st with Senna on pole and Prost 10 places behind where he should have been, starting down in 12th. It's all set for an exciting Brazilian Grand Prix. Senna will be starting his home Grand Prix from pole position ahead of the two Ferraris of Berger and Alboreto. Nigel Mansell in the Williams in 4th, and reigning world champion Piquet on his first start for Lotus starts from 5th place. Thierry Boutsen in the Benetton is 6th with Patrese in the second Williams in 7th place. Alessandro Nannini and Nakajima in 8th and 9th, with Ivan Capelli in the March rounding out the top 10. Eddie Cheever in an Arrows car which has looked pretty quick so far this weekend in 11th place. Prost taking that grid penalty will start in 12th place, followed by Warwick in the second Arrows. The second March of Gugelmin making his debut today, of course, at his home Grand Prix, and René Arnoux, the only Ligier to make the grid, in 15th. Dalmas and Alliot, the two LaRouche drivers, 16th and 17th respectively. The Tyrrell of Parma well clear of his teammate and in 18th place. Philip Strife in the 1 AGS car in 19th place, ahead of the Scuderia Italia of Alex Caffi rounding out the top 20. Brundle manages 21st on his first run out in the Streamline car. Impressive, actually. Then it's the two Minardis of Martini and Perez Sala, Gabriel Tarquini in the 1 Coloni in 24th, then Julian Bailey and Bernd Schneider, the final drivers to start the race. That means Oscar Larrauri, Nicola Larini, Stefan Johansson and Piercarlo Ginzani miss out on the grid. So today's race features 61 laps and there is no risk of rain whatsoever. And the Streamline of Martin Brundle going for a very standard 2-stop strategy, pitting on lap 20 and lap 40 before going to the end. And the objective will be just to reach the checkered flag. The 1988 Brazilian Grand Prix is next.
The game goes on, mate. Remember, nothing's fallen on the first lap.
And those are the lights 4 and 5, and the season is underway. And Brundle getting a bit of wheel spin off the line, and everybody sorting themselves out, trying to avoid contact as we head down towards turn 1 on the inside of Philip Strife in the AGS and possibly up the inside of the Larousse of Yannick Dalmas. That's 17th will make that 18th place. Jonathan Palmer, the Tyrrell, being relegated down to 19th place behind Martin Brundle. But Brundle making a solid start, possibly looking up the inside into turn 2. It's a very flat circuit, and especially on this opening lap, everybody is going to be bottled up into the tight corners, especially the hairpin. I believe it's turn 6. But Dalmas right now defending.
Fantastic start, you're up to 18th right now.
Engineer seems to like it. It's a good start from Martin Brundle. Let's see if he can hold on to this position as the opening laps unfold.
What's Palmer doing if I turn him? We make contact. Don't worry about it, mate. It's a long race. Plenty of time to get it back. Just focus on what you're doing.
I agree kind of with Martin there. Pretty crazy for what Palmer was doing, but we got the inside of Strife, so we regain at least one of those positions. But Palmer, yeah, really throwing his car in there. And it's the start of lap 2. Senna still holds the lead. Prost has not actually made much progress at all. He's in 11th place. Berger and Alboreto, the 2 Ferraris, in the top 3. Mansell in 4th in the Williams, followed by Piquet, the reigning world champion, at his home Grand Prix. And this circuit is actually named after Nelson Piquet as of this year. This is the first year it's been named after him. Thierry Boutsen in the Benetton in 6th place. So Patrese right now outside of the points in that Williams, and he's reportedly very angry with Thierry Boutsen holding him up at the moment. On to lap 4, and Prost is making a bit of progress up the field. I think he's putting a move on Ivan Capelli there. Of course, Capelli's teammate is Maurizio Gugelmin, who's making his debut at his home Grand Prix, the Brazilian. Prost running slightly wide, but just manages to keep it on circuit. And on the following lap, Prost makes it past Nakajima, who runs wide at the corner that Prost ran wide at the lap before. So it's all working out, but these drivers really taking liberties with the track limits. And who's that off the circuit? That's Patrese. So Patrese is actually getting passed by both Benettons. So I think Patrese is now down to 8th place. Prost runs in 9th. As back on board with Martin Brundle on lap 5. He's pushing, and he's got a chance around the outside of Palmer. There's not much grip on the outside there. And he's dropped it. He's spun round. It was an audacious move.
I've had a spin. Don't think there's any damage, but check when I go through.
Okay, no damage reported by Martin there.
All looks fine from here, Martin. All fine to stay out.
So not good at all. Here's Prost making a move on, I believe, that is Patrese, going up the inside into the final corner as the leader is on lap 9. Prost making good progress now. And on lap 10, Senna still leads the way. Berger in 2nd and Alboreto 3rd, Mansell 4th and Piquet 5th. The top 5 still remains the same, but Prost is now into the points in 6th place. Boutsen is still ahead of Patrese, who is very, very annoyed by the fact his Williams can't go past on the main straight, you know, down that long back straight. Not a notable standout performances so far. I mean, Ivan Capelli's doing well in the March in 11th place. He's right behind Nakajima, and they're on screen right now. So this is the battle for no points, but it is a battle for the top 10 positions. Eddie Cheever and Derek Warwick, the 2 arrows, possibly not as high up as we might have thought they would be in pre-season, but there's plenty of time to go in this race. Back on board with Martin Brundle on lap 10, who's actually closed up to the back of the cars ahead now, and Julian Bailey making his debut today, the 33-year-old, going off the circuit, and that gives Brundle an opportunity to overtake.
Last move, mate. Now, so 25th place. Lap 10.
25th place. Well, first place is Senna on lap 12. He dives into the pits, indicating he might be on a 3-stop strategy. Berger and his teammate Alboreto take the lead. So it's a Ferrari 1-2. They won the previous 2 races in the 1987 season, and they could potentially be on course to make it 3 race wins in a row as Senna rejoins a comfortable 3rd place, just actually ahead of Nigel Mansell. Lap 12, and Martin Brundle makes almost a bit of contact with Schneider. He does make contact with Schneider, the sole Zach speed in this race, and now it might be a drag race down this back straight. The West Zach speed in front, getting a good exit, but Martin Brundle is closing with the use of slipstream.
Oh man, I'm really struggling with the straight line speed here. Is there anything we can do?
So Brundle not happy with the straight line speed in the car.
Maybe we can make some adjustments at the pits. I can't get past the Zach speed. We'll look into it, mate. You just focus the stuff on track, okay?
Brundle clearly not happy. It was the same thing in pre-qualifying as well. He was complaining about the gearing. And now he tries round the outside on lap 14 at the hairpin. But Schneider holding onto the position once again. Schneider runs slightly wide, and this might give Brundle a better opportunity with the slipstream. Can he pull side by side with the Zach speed? He already made one attempt on the previous lap. Can he do it now on lap 14? Down into this very, very bold left-hander. He outbrakes Schneider, and Schneider holds it round the outside. Beautiful from him.
Right, Targini's in the pits, so you're up to 24th. It's lap 16.
24th place then. Progress is being made, albeit quite slowly, as Schneider runs wide at the hairpin, and this will give Brundle an excellent opportunity, and that should be 23rd place.
Good job, mate. Good job. 23rd place.
Well, the race engineer must have heard me. Yellow flag out. I think that's just somebody going into the pits. Alex Caffey in the pits. So 22nd place for Brundle on lap 19, and he's really closing up to Martini. As this is the battle between both of the Minardis, Martini and Perez Sala. Don't know if anything's going on here. Oh, Perez Sala is pulling into the pits to retire. He's got a gearbox issue. He's radioed into his team to tell him he's pulling into the pits. So Perez Sala out of the race. And meanwhile, the race leader on lap 19, Berger, into the pits. Alboreto will take the race lead. So we've had 3 different race leaders in this race so far. Berger will rejoin down in 3rd place. But it's going to be very close between Berger and Senna on the exit here. Of course, Berger went longer in that first stint. Where is Senna? Oh, he's actually clear. It's okay. There's a big gap. Ayrton Senna into 2nd. Berger down to 3rd. Mansell, Piquet, Boutsen, the top 6 right now. And as we know, Martin Brundle is not in the top 20. But he should be up there soon. Perez Sala is still in 19th place, even though he has retired. But this was taken at the start of lap 20 for the race leader. As there's Berger lapping a Coloni.
Okay, Martin, box this lap, box this lap.
So lap 20, Martin Brundle coming into the pits this lap.
We'll be racing in the pit lane with Schneider behind, so be very careful.
The pressure is on. It's Zach Speed versus Streamline. For not the first time this season already, but it's a battle in the pit lane. And Martin, oh, he's missed his pit.
Get in reverse, come on. Oh, I'm sorry about that, guys. Sorry.
Absolute disaster. Martin Brundle's first pit stop and Streamline's first pit stop, but not as bad as what's happening there to Jonathan Palmer stopping on the main straight. And this is causing, well, it's hold up. Oh, there's Prost. Prost has run straight into the back of, I think that's Boutsen. Prost out braking himself, not respecting the yellow flags.
No worries, mate. Gear, come on, get it in gear. Oh, you gotta be quicker, Martin, come on. Caution, yellow flags at turn 1, caution.
So Martin Brundle has been told by the race engineer about the yellow flags, and look at that, absolute carnage. And Prost's weekend goes from bad to worse as Michele Alboreto does pit on lap 22. Senna retakes the lead, and Senna, even if he is on a 3-stop, I think he's got this comfortably in the bag as long as reliability holds up. And I believe that's Mansell up to 2nd place for now.
It's going to be close with Bailey on the exit here. Good job, mate, good job.
So Martin gets ahead of Julian Bailey.
The yellows ahead are causing issues, so just get past, ignore the blue flags.
So Eddie Cheever, the next driver to run into issues with his car, gearbox issues, just like Perez Sala had. So Eddie Cheever pulling into the pits, and he was holding up his teammate Warwick quite a lot there on his in-lap. So Warwick really held back by that. I'm sure he's not going to be happy with the team on that one, as on lap 25, here goes Berger making a move on Piquet into turn 1. That's to regain 3rd place in this race. Good move there from Gerhard Berger, moving his Ferrari up into 3rd place. Lap 25, and it's another gearbox issue. This time it's Maurizio Gugelmin retiring from his home Grand Prix and retiring from his debut race in the sport. So it's not looking good there for the March team, as Philippe Alliot, you'll never guess it, another gearbox failure, this time lap 26. So the Lewis driver pulls it into the pits very slowly, and that's, I believe, our 4th gearbox failure of this race, and we're not even at half race distance.
Great job here, Martin. Right, we're on lap 27. You're currently in 16th place. Keep it up, Schneider, directly in front of you.
Another gearbox failure. This time it's Ivan Capelli. That means both March cars have retired with the same issue within 2 laps of each other. I'm sure they're not going to be very happy with that one. As back on board with Martin Brundle.
I've been hit, but Bailey, what's Bailey doing?
I agree once again with Martin Brundle. What is Bailey doing? That's 2 times this race that the same team have been involved in an incident there. I think it was, who was it on lap 1? Julian Bailey's teammate making almost contact with Martin Brundle, and now it has happened with debutant Bailey. But lap 30 and Berger leads the way. He's pit 1 less time than Senna has, and it's getting pretty close between those two at the front, as you'll be able to see, about a second gap between them two. And Alboreto in 3rd place as Mansell and Piquet have pit now. Nannini up in 6th. So Nannini going quite well, and there's only 17 drivers left in this one. Reliability a big issue. We did have that incident at turn 1 which wiped out, I believe, 3 drivers in that one go. But 17 drivers left in the race with 31 laps of racing left in this one, and Bailey under massive pressure.
Okay, Martin, stay calm. It's a long race. We can get it back.
Yeah, Martin needs to keep that in mind. It is a very long race, so there's no rush. But it would be nice to clear Bailey sooner rather than later. And that's what will be on the list of things to do for Martin Brundle. He might have a run down the main straight here. And he's going to try up the inside of Julian Bailey into turn 1. Can the Tyrrell defend? Well, he's holding it around the outside. Martin Brundle pinned to the inside of turn 1. And now Bailey will have the inside line for turn 2. It's a great little battle between these two drivers. Bailey, not as experienced in Formula 1, but is the older of the two. And Bailey holds on to the position, but runs wide at turn 2. Can Brundle get that switchback? Get the inside line for 3? Not quite, and Bailey track extends on the exit, but no penalty given. Brundle switches back to the inside. No, can't quite get through. Not even into the hairpin either, so he has to just hold back for now. But on lap 31, into the final corner, a big send from Martin Brundle, and he takes the position.
Fantastic move, mate. That was 12th place.
That's 12th place, as Alex Caffey has an engine failure into turn 1. That's all over for Alex Caffey on lap 33. So the Dallara, or Scuderia Italia, out of this race. As this is the battle for the lead then. Senna looking to the inside of Berger with the help of traffic in front. And on lap 37, Ayrton Senna overtakes for the race lead on the track. So it wasn't an overtake through the pits like we thought it might be. It's an overtake on track, and Senna leads the race. And Julian Bailey, I mean, he made contact with Martin Brundle a few laps ago, but you'll never guess what he's retiring because of. Yep, that's right, it's gearbox failure. And now I think that is 5 drivers retiring due to gearbox issues in this race. And lap 38 now for Brundle. He's under pressure.
Again, did you guys see that? Tarquini just completely cut the corner, and he's gained the position.
So the clone of Tarquini gets through and relegates Brundle down to 13th place. But Tarquini has an issue.
Caution to 1, Tarquini. Yes. Okay, mate. Focus. Head down.
Lap 40, and Senna leads the way. He's got 21 laps to go, and we all think he's pitting one more time. Alboreto in 2nd and Mansell 3rd, as Berger has been into the pits once again. So Alboreto now the lead Ferrari until he probably goes into the pits and it switches around. We're currently looking at the battle that has been raging on throughout this whole Grand Prix. Nakajima ahead of Patrese. They've been nose to tail even through the pits. And I think one of them might be coming into the pits this lap, so we could see a change of position right here. 16 drivers left in the race. Julian Bailey technically is out of the race, but I think it's at the time of lap 40 starting for the race lead. He was still in the race at that point, so he's not down as a retirement as of yet. But both of these drivers coming into the pits, so Patrese, for all he's worth, cannot get past Nakajima today.
Boxing this lap, Martin, boxing this lap.
So Martin Brundle has been called into pits for his 2nd and final scheduled stop of this race. As Senna, the race leader, starts lap 42 as, well, it completes lap 42 actually, as Martin Brundle is finishing lap 40. So Brundle a full 2 laps down. Hopefully he does not miss his pit this time, and he doesn't. That's much more calm, collected from Brundle, who does have the experience. He's been in Formula 1 for a number of years now, so that's a better pit stop this time.
Much better stop this time, Martin. Good job, mate. We're 14th on the exit, lap 41.
14th place on the exit, which might be the final runner, actually.
And Schneider in the pits. It might be quite close on the exit here.
Well, this is the battle of the last place positions. Schneider rejoining just in front of Martin Brundle. But of course, Schneider needs to warm up those tyres, and Brundle has been on these tyres for at least one lap now and will have the pace advantage for the time being. It's Zach Speed versus Streamline, part 3 of this race, and I believe this battle between these two teams will rage on throughout the entirety of this season. That'll be the big battle that we'll be focusing on this season. And Brundle's first chance up the inside here into turn 4. No space given from Bernd Schneider. Possibly up the inside into the hairpin. Brundle sends it. Tries to run Schneider out of road on the exit.
Great job. That's 13th place. Martini 15 seconds up the road.
Good work there by Brundle, as Senna rejoins from his final pit stop, and I believe he is definitely still in the race lead. The arrows behind is more than a lap down, maybe 2 laps down actually. And this is lap 45, and that's Martini running wide, and that allows the AGS to get through. And now the AGS of Strife trying to unlap themselves compared to Nakajima in front, which does not work. Here's Martini though, coming into the pits to retire the car. You guessed it, guys, it's another gearbox failure. That's 6 gearbox failures in this race alone.
Okay, we're currently catching Strife, 8 seconds in front, and 12th place right now, lap 48.
So the gap is coming down to Strife in front, who I believe is on a 1 stop in this race, as on lap 50, there's only 13 drivers left in it. Strife, Brundle and Schneider, they'll all be battling for 11th place towards the end of this one, as the 2 Ferraris battling away. Track limits, I don't know. Track limits don't seem to be a thing here at this circuit. I think because the circuit's so flat, lots of the drivers are just taking liberties with the limits, and they're not going to be penalised because there's not always a camera on each car around the circuit. So they can get away with it, but Senna leads the way with just over 11 laps to go. Berger and Alboreto, the 2 Ferraris, have been nose to tail for most of the race. Piquet up to 4th now, and Mansell, his Williams not giving away yet. They've had terrible reliability all through pre-season testing.
Gap ahead is 5 seconds, and okay on fuel, so clear to push.
So less than 10 laps for Brundle to try and catch Strife. And on lap 55, it's very close between the 2 drivers. Can Martin Brundle make his way into 11th place?
You've got about 4 laps to go, something's done, mate, so no rush.
No rush. So the race engineer trying to keep Martin Brundle nice and calm under the visor, but I guess the pressure is on. The sponsors want to see a good result here for a debut race. And here's Martin Brundle's chance. Up the inside into turn 4. This side by side. Strife will have the inside line for this hairpin. Can Brundle hang it round the outside to take the position? No. He tries to cut back and get the run on Strife down the back straight, but I don't think we'll have the straight line speed to make this move here.
Our car has too much drag and it can't close down the straights.
Okay, Martin, that's enough complaining for one day. You can get this move done, maybe down this main straight, maybe a bold move into turn 1 on the start of lap 57, which is the second to last lap for Martin Brundle. He sends it and takes the position.
Nice job, Martin. Okay, final 2 laps now, let's bring it home.
Okay, well, he just needs to get to the end of this race now, and
I'm off again, there's no balance in the car. Right, okay, just bring it home, mate. Come on.
Well, that's not what you want to see at all. Martin Brundle making a mistake on the second to final lap, as, well, Patrese still can't get past the Lotus in front of him, which is the least of our worries right now. The main worry being Martin Brundle making that mistake at the end, which cost us 2 positions. But Senna rounding the final corner for the final time. He is going to win the 1988 Brazilian Grand Prix, and with it take the championship lead. His first race for McLaren, his first victory for McLaren, and he leads the championship whilst Prost retired halfway through. Martin Brundle with his final corner sadly could not get back at Schneider or Strife on the final 2 laps, and will round the final corner to finish last on the road, but 13th place.
Okay, Martin, that's the check of the side. P13, apart from the spins, that was a successful race. It's nice to see the finish. Yeah, cheers guys, but we've got work to do.
We certainly do have work to do, and here are the results of the 1988 Brazilian Grand Prix. Ayrton Senna wins by 35 seconds in the end, ahead of Alboreto, who jumped up above his teammate Berger, I believe, during the pit stops. Nigel Mansell, that Williams holding on till the end, finishes over a minute down but in 4th place, followed by Nelson Piquet, the reigning world champion, in 5th place. Alessandro Nannini getting a point for Benetton in 6th. Nakajima just missing out, but he's still ahead of Patrese and sandwiched in between is Derek Warwick, who had a nice race for Arrows. René Arnoux, the only Ligier in the race, managing to finish in 10th place. Those 13 drivers finishing in the end, and lots of retirements. Look at how many gearbox failures there were in this opening race of the season. It's crazy to see. There was a collision, of course, between Prost, Boutsen and one of the other drivers. I can't quite remember. I think it was Jonathan Palmer when his suspension failed at that first corner. So that caused all 3 drivers to retire on the spot. But at least we got a pretty cool picture of Prost's car failing on the right-hand side there. Onto the Drivers' Championship, and Ayrton Senna, of course, leads the way with Alboreto and Berger in 2nd and 3rd place. It's exactly the same as the race results, so we're not going to spend too much time looking at this. 31 drivers, of course, taking part in this race weekend, including pre-qualifying and qualifying. And Stefan Johansson will be the biggest shock of all. I think Ligier would not be happy with that at all. Ligier, I know, don't have the best car. According to the stats at the start, they have the 9th quickest car. But Johansson, that is incredibly slow from him, incredibly underperforming, down in 29th place in the championship. And Stefano Modena is very lonely on this screen, the EuroBrun driver, down in 31st and last place at the moment. We did expect McLaren and Ferrari to be battling alongside each other this season, and that's the case after the first race, with McLaren and Ferrari tied for 1st place in the championship. Williams in 3rd. They know they have massive reliability issues, but they did okay in this first race. Lotus in 4th and Benetton in 5th, the 5 teams scoring points so far. We should see many other teams scoring points during this season. I do expect Arrows and March to be the next best teams, 6th and 7th place, sort of there or thereabouts. Streamline right now up in the top 15, so that's a great start to the season for the Streamline team. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Make sure to comment down below what you think of it all as well. Are you excited for the rest of the season? If you want to become maybe a race engineer, a chief designer, a technical director, of course that'll just be your name being used, you can apply in the new Discord we have. It's down in the description. You can't speak in the Discord, it's there for informational purposes really, but if you want to check that out, make sure to check the link in the description. If you like my content and want to support me further, consider becoming a channel member. It helps me out. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.